this is Lynn with Vicki Bags, and I hope you're having a really good day. This is the project that I have for us this week. It is a little foam bag, and its features are the two little zip pockets in the front and the zipper on the top, okay? It is a crossbody, so I'm going to gather my things and we'll get started on this right away.
Okay, I'm back. So for this project, our focal fabric, isn't this cute? Little Disney pattern. But we're going to need two pieces. And this is the main body and, of course, the back of the bag. And it measures 8 across, 8.5 across. So that's 8.5 across by 10.5 in height or down. So it's 8.5 by 10.5. And on the back, I used a fusible fleece. Okay, so I don't know what you want to use at home. You may want to use some just regular quilting batting, and that is fine, because I want to take this over and quilt this today. Okay, so these two have a fusible fleece. The lining of the bag is 8.5 by 10.5, same as the main body. And I used a light interfacing on the back, okay? And that, of course, will not get quilted. For the two zippers on the front of the bag, remember we're going to have one here and one there, they need a pocket, okay? So you're going to cut out two identical pieces, and they're going to be 7 inches wide by 13 inches long. So they're going to be 7 inches by 13, because you're going to fold them in half and create a pocket on the back side of this, okay? Two of them. They too are lightly interfaced, okay? Then on the inside too of the bag, we're going to have just a small pocket for, whatever. And that's where I went ahead and I decided to put my little brand on it. And there's two pieces, and they're 7 by 7, so 7 inches by 7 inches square, and they're lightly interfaced, okay? And we're going to make a little pocket out of those two. Now the strap is a crossbody. Now, the measurement for my crossbody is 62 inches long. And they're 2 1/4 inch wide, because we're going to make a very long, skinny strap. I'm not using an adjustable piece today, okay? I don't have one, or I probably would. I'm sure I'm going to be selling this bag on my Etsy, in my Etsy store. So, but what I did was I just put the fabric over my body, and when it's all said and done, it'll be about 58 inches, which is just perfect for me. Okay, so measure your body, go up over your shoulder and across your front, and exactly where you want your top of your bag to fit. Give yourself an extra inch, because remember, we fold our strap on the ends to make it nice and finished. Okay, so that takes about an inch. So for mine, it's going to be 62 inches long, because I need to join the fabric. I didn't have 62 inches in length, so I'm going to have to join it, okay, make it longer, and I'd like to show you how I'm going to do that. And here's something else that you may or may not have, and it's not 100% necessary, but I have 2 1/2-inch D-rings. Aren't they cute? They're really, really small. And those, of course, are going to sit on the outside of the bag, and then I have 2 of the little swivel hooks that are 1/2 inch too for my very small strap. And it makes my strap removable in case I want to use it for another bag. Okay, so that's it. I'm going to change my camera angle, and oh, I'm sorry, we forgot about the zippers. Okay, let's do the zippers. Okay, and so all 3 of my zippers are about the same size. They're 9 inches. They're 9 inches, and we won't be needing all of that, but at least it'll be enough to cover the size bag that we're making today. So if you are planning on making a little bit larger bag, make sure that your zipper is appropriate size. Okay? So that's it. I'll see you in a minute. So the first thing I'm gonna do is take this over to my machine, and every 2 inches, I'm just gonna sew lines going like this, and then 2 inches like this, until I am done. And I'm gonna go ahead and do that off camera. You don't need to watch me do that, and then I'll be right back. Okay, so can you see that? How nice that came out? Okay. So now what we're ready to do is to start making our first zipper pocket. So take one of your 7 inches by whatever, 13 I think going down, and square it up on your board, okay, and come down exactly 1 inch with your fabric, okay, like this. Line it up. Make sure your fabric is centered. Go ahead and pin that. Now remember, you should be seeing interfacing only on the front part of your bag. And you may recall, if not, you probably haven't seen the video yet of me showing you how to do an inset zipper. So I'm not going to go into detail like I did in that one. You can always look at it. I will put it in the description box when I am done. Okay, so you will always have that to look at. But what we're going to do now is we're going to come down about 1 inch from there. So it's actually 2 inches from the top, okay, that we're going to start measuring. I'm going to take a red pen so that I can see, and I'm actually going to come in 1 inch. So I'm down 2 inches from the focal fabric. I'm down 1 inch from my pocket lining. And I'm going to come in about 1 inch on both sides, and I'm going to start my line here and go only 1 inch from this side. I'm going to come down exactly 1/2 inch. That looks just about right, and I'm going to do the same exact thing. And I like to just fill this in by hand. I don't really need to do that. Okay, but just box it in. Make it look like a nice, neat rectangle. And then go back up about 1/4 inch and draw another line. So exactly in half of this, you're going to draw a line. Okay. And then from there, what I like to do is I like to draw a V from this corner, make the point touch the center line, and then come back over this way and do the same thing over here. Okay, a little artwork for you. Now I'm going to take it over to my machine. I'm going to move my camera so that you can watch me do this. And I'm going to start sewing right about here. I don't like to ever start in the corner. And I'm just going to sew this whole entire outside of the box is with a very small stitch, okay, and do a very small back and forth right there to hold it. So let me move my camera, and I also need to put on my zipper foot so that you can watch me do this. Hopefully you can see this. And I'm going to set my needle down right exactly on the line. It's very important that you take your time on this and do a really, really good job. It just doesn't look right if it's not done, accurately. So I'm just going to go very slow. I want a smaller stitch. I want to follow that line perfectly. Okay, pivot. Pivot again. you've never done one of these, it's pretty strange to watch what we're doing, huh? It doesn't make much sense, but it will in a minute. It's called an inset zipper. That's what I call it anyway. I don't know what anybody else calls it, but that's what I call it. And a small back stitch. Okay. I'm going to fix my camera. Okay, so now you take your ruler. I like to use my rotary blade for this part. Some people just use their scissors, but I like to use my rotary blade. And I'm going to set my ruler down right on the line on the middle, on the inside. And I'm going to be very careful not to cut in here. Okay, I just want to cut this line. No more and no less. So I'm going to set it down. I can feel it. You have to push kind of hard to go through all the quilting that we've done and so on and so forth. Now I'm going to take my small scissors, okay, and I'm going to start right here. Make sure that cut through. And I'm just going to cut to this corner, to the corner, not through. You don't want to cut through any of your stitching. You will ruin the whole thing. It's very, very important you don't do that. Okay. So this is where the fun begins. Now what you're going to do is you're going to take this whole entire piece and you're going to put it through the hole. Even this top part. Everything, every bit of it. Okay. Now what we're going to do is a technique called finger pressing. And you're going to line this up exactly how you want it. I don't mind a little bit of my yellow fabric underneath showing. If you just want only the focal fabric to show, you're really going to have to work at it. See how you're going to have to push it way under? I like a little bit of my yellow showing, so that's okay. It just kind of gives it a little pop and a little bit of a framing, okay? And this is what it looks like from the back. Now, I have mentioned this before, I'm going to say it again. Please don't worry too much about these little creases in the corners. They're okay. That's fine. I really don't care. On this side, I would care. I don't want to see any of those creases, and it looks really flat to me. It looks actually very, very good. So what I'm going to do now is take it over to my ironing board, and I'm going to put a little steam, make a very, very hot iron, and I'm going to press this as flat as I can, okay, so that when I'm ready to put my zipper in, it's not trying to move on me, okay? So I'll meet you back here when I'm done. That came out really good. I'm very happy with that, okay? So I left my red thread on, even though my zipper's going to be black, because I'm going to be aiming for this outside piece to sew it on. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my zipper under it and make sure that my zipper pull is all the way to the end on this side. I'm going to reach in and center my zipper. We've talked about this before. I don't like to use pins or anything, so I'm not going to, but you're more than welcome to take a pin and you know, if you care to, you can just go ahead and put these in and pin it all the way around and put in your zipper. I'm not going to do that. It just makes me nuts. I don't need to do that. So I am, again, going to move my camera because I do want you to see me do this at least once, especially for those folks that have not seen any of my videos before. So let me fix my camera, and I let you watch me do this, this zipper. Put it in, okay? Okay, so I'm going to make sure my zipper pull is all the way against the edge here. And I'm going to start on the upper part of the zipper. Make sure my zipper is absolutely perfectly centered where I want it. And I'm going to aim just for the edge of the red part where the yellow part begins. Okay, so I'm going to have to open my zipper. Actually, I don't want to open it right now. I didn't like how it distorted it, so I'm just going to start down a little bit lower where I missed the zipper pull altogether, and I'll go back and do that in a few minutes, okay? I hope you can see this. Okay, not a real small stitch, okay? Probably about a 2.5 is just perfect. Stitch length, okay? So now I'm going to start very, very slow, staying on the red because that is where my thread is, and I don't want you to see any red on the yellow part, any red thread on the yellow part. So I'm going to come around, and when I get to the edge, I'm going to make sure my needle is down. I'm going to pivot the whole thing. Okay, now I'm going to be sewing over my zipper, so I'm going to go very, very slow. Okay, and be very, very careful. There we go. With my needle down, I'm going to come across the other side. Pivot again. My zipper is staying exactly where I want it to. Okay, so now I'm going to be bumping into my zipper pull, so I'm going to make sure my needle is down. I'm going to raise the whole bar, the needle bar, and I'm going to open my zipper. And of course it's going to fight me a little bit. That's okay. Okay, I'm going to lower it and I'm going to continue on. Make sure your needle is in the down position before you pivot. And now I'm going to sew across the zipper. Go down to meet my thread, and that tells me where I started. Small back stitch, and I am through. Okay, came out nice, didn't it? Okay, it works beautifully. It was put in correctly. Be sure to cut all your little threads. You don't want those, any reason for your zipper to get caught up in anything, okay? So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn this over, and I'm going to cut my zipper about a 1/2 inch away from where you could see I went over my zipper, okay? Okay, and if you remember, our next step is to turn it over and bring up your pocket to meet the top of this pocket. Make sure it's lined up well. And put in a pin right up here. Okay. And basically what you're going to do now is fold the whole thing down because you're going to close your pocket. So you're going to want to make sure that all of this is out of your way. And I'm going to start down here at the bottom. You don't have to pin it unless you really want to. I'm going to start here at the bottom. I'm going to sew up there, making sure that this is folded well out of my way. When I get to the top, I'm going to fold it down this way and sew just about a 1/4 to 1/2 inch along the top, just to close it up, okay? And then I'm going to move this piece out of my way and continue sewing 1/4 to 1/2 inch at the bottom, and then I am finished with that, okay? Okay, so our pocket is complete, and you can see that I completely enclosed it all the way around. Okay. And there you go. Isn't that nice? I'm really, really happy with it. But we have one more to add. So before we even start that, I'm going to pull this pocket all the way up. And I'm going to put a pin in up here so there's no way it can be in our way. And I want to show you something that I've been doing a lot lately. I'm tired of getting poked with pins. So what I do is I put it in, I come up, and I go back down just enough to go inside the fabric so there's nothing to poke you on either side. I don't know why I haven't thought of that many moons ago, but I just started doing that lately. So guess what? Here's our next one. We're going to do this again, and you know what? I'm going to do it off camera. Are you scared? Nah, don't be. Don't be afraid. Okay, so we're going to turn this over. Remember, we always draw on the interfacing side, and we're going to set this down right at the top of that zipper. Because remember, we're going to come down an inch, or about, let's see, let's give it 1.5 inches from the very top of that zipper. Okay, so that we don't have anything that we're interrupting on this side at all. Okay, so we're going to come down 1.5 inches from the top of your first zipper. Make sure it's centered. Go ahead and pin it. I want to make sure that's straight. Yes, it looks really, really good. Okay, then I'm going to come down, let's see, 1.5 inches from the top. Here's my line. So I'm going to come down 1.5 inches. That is where I want to start to draw my first line. Okay, just to go over that again, we're at the top of our first zipper. That's where I'm going to lay my lining piece. I'm going to come down 1.5 inches, and how I know that is here's my inch and here's my half. I'm going to lay my ruler at the 1.5 inches, and I'm going to start drawing my line 1 inch in. Do you remember that? 1 inch in. Let me see where this one, yeah. Okay, then I'm going to come down 1/2 inch. Make sure all this is level and nice and neat. Here's your guides right here. Okay, and then I just fill this in. I'm going to draw my center line. That's 1/4 inch from the top line, remember? Okay, and then I draw my 2 V's. Okay, now what I do is I take it over to my sewing machine and I start right about here, small stitch, and I'm going to sew all the way around. If you need help doing this, refer to what we have already done in this one, because I don't want to take the time to make the video super, super long, and it will, because we have quite a ways to go on this, so have fun with that. Okay, we're done with both of our little zipper pockets. Hopefully that went really good for you. So now turn it over and lift up the first one, because you're going to notice that this one overlapped that one, and it's really okay because you needed to keep the zippers up above so that when you make your gussets, you're not interrupting them, okay? So what I've done is I've just folded this part over and I put a little bit of glue on there and just let it sit for a minute, okay? I use my fabric glue, my favorite glue. It's called Fabri-Tac, but you can use Elmer's, you can use any fabric glue that'll work, okay? And it just makes this lay down flat so that that one will lay down, okay? So basically, yeah, it was a little bit too much. It was a little bit too high, but I just folded it over before you got to the zipper, and absolutely perfect. I hope you're happy with your result. Okay, so my other piece, we're not going to do anything to the back, but if you would like to, go ahead and put another zipper in here, or, an outside pocket, whatever you want to do. But this part is going to be the part that's resting against the body, and so I just thought I would just leave it alone. So let's go ahead and work on the liner right now. Okay, so here's my liner. And I'm only going to use one of them. I'm only going to have a pocket on one side. So here's my liner. So right now, take your two 7 by 7 inch pieces, and you're going to put them right sides together. Okay. And pin it. What you're going to do is you're going to leave a little gap so that you can turn the whole thing inside out. Okay? So if this is 7 inches, I want you to leave about a 2.5, 3 inch gap. Okay? So you're going to start sewing right here, go back and forth, come around about 1/4 to 1/2 inch, whatever you would like. Come up, come around, come down, and stop here, right there. And if you want to, you could put a couple pins here that'll remind you where to start. Okay, it is a little bit hard to see because I used light yellow thread, but I did leave an opening right here, and what I want to do now is trim away my edges and my corners. Okay, so not too close, but just take off a little bit of that bulk and go like this at your corner along the top. And down the other side. I keep threatening to get new scissors, huh? Okay. Now when you get to the bottom part, okay, this is the part that you left an opening. What I'm going to do is I'm going to cut down like this until I get to where I stopped sewing, and I'm going to turn my scissors out, and that creates this little tab right here. When I get to the part that I started or stopped sewing again, I'm going to come in at a little bit of an angle and trim this part away. And basically, as you could see why I call it a tab? It's the shape of a tab. And there's a reason I do that. I want to leave that fabric as long as I can, because after I turn it, it's easier to fold under to close. Okay. So now we're going to turn the whole thing carefully so you don't rip any of your stitches. You're going to turn it all inside out, right side out. I don't like super sharp corners, so I'm always one to leave them what I call a soft corner. So I do use a tool. I do use a poker tool very, very carefully so I don't poke it through. But I don't make it a super sharp corner. I like to leave it a little bit soft. Okay. And you'll see why I make it into a tab when I cut it. Okay, I am going to take it over and iron it in a second. But basically, look at how much fabric I was able to leave. And that makes it so much easier when I go to tuck it in. Okay, so now I'm going to take it over to the ironing board, make sure that's perfectly nice and perfectly flat how I want it. Make sure these are laying really good. Okay, after I do that, so much for making it easier. It's not being easy today. After I do that, I'm going to go ahead and I'm not going to sew this up right now because I'm going to sew it up when I sew the pocket on, so I don't have a whole bunch of extra stitching. So I'm going to place it where I want it on the bag. I don't want it too close to the top, and I certainly don't want it in the way of our gussets. Okay, well, you know me. I'm very consistent. I forgot to have you cut out some pieces for your D-rings. Okay, so I'm assuming you have these little 1/2-inch D-rings. If not, you can use your 1-inch and, do this accordingly. Okay, so what I'm going to need is about 2 inches. And I'm going to need 2 of them. And this is a 4-inch piece. And I need 2 of them, so I'm going to do that again. I'm going to take these over and interface them, okay? And after I do that, at my ironing board, this is the interfaced side, I'm going to fold it in half, okay? Iron it. I'm going to open it up, and I've got a crease in the middle, so now I'm going to fold this side to the crease and iron this side. Then I'm going to iron this end to the middle again, okay? And then fold the whole entire thing over and press that again. So I have this small strap. When I'm finished with that, I'm going to go ahead and sew as close to the edge all the way around. And that's going to give me the perfect little strap to feed through this end of my D-ring. And when I fold this over, that is where we're going to sew this whole thing to the bag, and we're going to place our hook when we put a strap on it to go through, okay? So you go ahead and do that, and I will meet you back here and I will show you how to attach this to the bag. Okay, so I got my little tabs done, and what you're going to want to do is put it on some kind of measuring so you can see exactly. Because what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my main piece that I put my zippers on, and I don't like mine sticking out really far when it's all said and done. I just basically just want to see a little bit of it. But we're going to have to put it on, let's say the top part of this right here is going to be on exactly an inch and a half down. So right there, and I'm going to mark it at 1.5 inches. And I'm going to take that over to my sewing machine, and I'm just right here on the edge going to sew across there. Just kind of hold it in place. Don't go too far into your seam line. There you go. Just kind of tack it on. Reinforce it just a couple of times. Do the same thing with this one. You're going to come 1.5 inches down. Bring it out wherever you're going to want it. Remember, you're going to have this turned inside, right side in and the whole bit, so you don't want it really close, because when you're sewing it, you could break a needle if you hit that. So I'm bringing mine out to where there's only about 1/2 inch of the black showing, okay? No more than that. 1.5 inches down is where I want the top of this shown, so I'm going to put a little mark there. So I take it over to my machine. If it moved, I know exactly where to go. just going to tack it on. Go over it just a couple of times. Okay, so we are going to put our zipper on. So if you've ever seen my video, how to make a zippered pouch, it's a little bit more detailed than I'm going to be today. Okay, I'm trying to make my videos not so long, but anyway, hopefully we'll get through this fine. Okay, so the first thing you do is you take a piece of your lining. We're going to use the one with our pocket on it first. Okay, and you're going to take your zipper, make sure your zipper pull is on your left. You're going to set it on top of your lining. And we're not going to use tabs this time. We want as much zipper and bag as we can because it is a very small bag. And you know what I think I'll do is I think I'm going to cut away, because I have enough room, the middle part of the zipper so that we don't hit it with our needle. So hopefully you have a zipper long enough to be able to do that. Just cut away the middle part. That should be fine. See, I still have plenty of room. Okay. So I'm going to lay the zipper on top of my lining, making sure that the top of this and the top of the lining are flush. Absolutely even. Okay. Now, in previous videos, what I have done is I have set little tiny dots of glue to help hold it. I'm not going to do that today. I want to save a little bit of time. But you can watch that video where it shows you how to make a pouch, and it's all in there. It's very, very detailed, okay? So now you're going to take your front piece with the two zippers, and you're going to lay that down on top of it and actually sandwich that in. Your zipper pull is here, so we are going to actually start sewing down here. We want to avoid that altogether, and we'll come back and catch it in a little bit. So I'm going to take a clip and put it about there. Make sure you're lined up on your sides as well. It's really easy to forget the sides. And here. I'm going to have to move my camera so you can see me sew this. Okay. So what I want to do is I actually want to start here where this clip is, because the zipper pull, as I said, is all the way up there. Okay. You're going to want to use the side of your zipper foot flush with the side of your fabric. Lower this, and I want you to take your fingernail and feel where your teeth are. Make sure you're a little distance from them. You don't want to be right on top of it. Okay, so if this is flush and it still feels a little close, go ahead and move over even just a little bit more. Move your fabric this way. But I think this is fine for mine. Set that down. There's my teeth. Set my needle down and really go slow. You're going to just back and forth right here. Making sure that you're sandwiched in just perfectly still. It hasn't moved at all. Try to slide on you. Mine slid a little bit, but I don't think it's going to be a big deal. We'll see. Okay. So I let the two pieces just fall, and I'm holding on to the zipper. Yeah, it's a perfect distance across. So what you want to do now is just open your zipper, because you've got to finish that. Okay. So go back to where you were. You can see where I stopped sewing. The zipper is now back here. It's out of my way. So So I'm just going to finish it. Where I see where I stopped sewing is exactly where I'm going to pick up. Okay. Let's see how we did, how we finished up. Okay, now remember, I don't want to open it all the way. I'll lose my zipper. That looks really good. Okay, so now what you're going to want to do is take it over to your ironing board. I probably won't have to. This fabric is absolutely wonderful. It's kind of stiff. But what you're going to do is you're going to make sure that your underneath is pulled away from the zipper. See how I'm holding the zipper with this hand and pulling with that one? Make sure it's pulled down because it's going to want to try to creep up. You don't want that to happen because we're going to sew this open now. So I'm going to give it a little finger press, but you may want to go ahead and take it over to the ironing board. But be so careful, you have zippers, everywhere, and you will melt it. Okay, so now it goes back under. Oops, I need to change this. And you're going to want to sew pretty close here to the edge, not where you're going off, and not too far out, but pretty close here. Give this a little tug with this hand. Make sure it's exactly as taut as you can get it, okay? Beautiful, nice straight line. Go nice and slow. Pulling your zipper away from the fabric. Do a small back stitch because I'm going to have to lift the whole thing right now. Make sure your needle is down. It doesn't have to be that far down, but down. Because you're going to open your zipper now so you can finish going the rest of the way. Some of you may not have to, but mine was still a little bit close. Okay, so this one I'm going to have you do by yourself, but you're going to take your piece of lining and you're going to have the right side up. You do not want the inner facing up. You want your right side up. You're going to lay this down and watch your sides. Make sure they're perfectly straight. The top of your zipper aligned with the top of your lining. Okay. Your focal fabric is going to go on top of that. Make sure you're lined up perfectly. You can either pin or clip, but make sure that the three are sandwiched just right. And your zipper pulls over here, so you're going to want to stop sewing right about here so that you can open it up and open your zipper. Remember that? Okay, so I'm going to finish this. If you need to go back in the video and look at what we did the first time, it's exactly the same, okay? I'll see you when I'm finished. Hello there. Okay, so now we are very close to finishing our bag. So go ahead and open your zipper 3/4 of the way. We're doing that now so we don't forget. Take your two top pieces, pockets and all, and it leaves your two lining pieces. So your outside pieces on one side and your lining pieces on the other. Okay. Take your little tabs and go ahead and fold them under. This is why we had you sew very, very close to the edge here, so that you can do this and not interrupt your seams in any way. Okay, so go ahead and fold those under, like that. Okay, I prefer to use clips for this part, but you can use pins or clips, whatever you would like. So we're going to concentrate right now on the zipper area. And what I want you to do is push the zipper towards the lining, and you can feel it fold in half. Okay, actually, I'm sorry, back up. Push the zipper towards the focal fabric, the outside, and you can feel it when you fold it in half. That make sure it's nice and flat, so the teeth are on this side pointing this way. So go ahead and clip that. Continue down. Now your fabric's a little bit folded, but that's okay. As long as it's lined up right here, it's going to be fine over there. You're going to do that all the way around, okay? When you come to this side, make sure your tab is folded in. Make sure your zipper, which is open, is facing towards your focal side. Just a little finagling, but you'll get it. So your zipper teeth are now facing on this side. And your tab is turned under. And make sure the little D-ring is folded way back. You don't want that anywhere near where you're going to have your sewing needle. Okay? And then continue that all the way down. Okay. Now we're going to work on our lining side. And you just start clipping. When you get to the center here, take a couple pins, because you're going to leave this open, and this reminds you, stop sewing right here, because you're going to leave this part open. Okay, and leave it open as much as you can, because we're not interrupting any gussets at this point. We're still okay. Our gussets aren't going to be very big for this bag anyway. And come around and pin, okay? You're going to start here at this point, and you're going to backstitch. Remember how we did our pocket? We backstitched there. You're going to come around and only do, let's just do a 1/2 inch from the side, because you're going to definitely need that when you come over here. All right, because you don't want your tabs, really long with your D-rings on them, okay? So just do about a 1/2 inch. Make sure you have plenty of room for that, okay? Because you don't want to, like I said, break your needle. Make sure you have plenty of room. Okay, so yay, that worked out really good, and I hope it went smooth for you. So what you're going to want to do now is just clip your corners, and maybe, get rid of a little bit of your bulk on the sides. Okay, not a whole lot. You don't need to go, especially around your zipper area, don't cut very, very close. Go ahead and take some of the bulk off of your tabs. I like to take some of the bulk off so that when you put the lining back in, the seams don't push on the lining and make it not smooth on the sides and the bottom. It's I don't think it's very attractive. So I like to try to get rid of some of the edges, okay? That's why I do this. Otherwise, you would have to press them open, and that's not always easy to do. Okay. Leave your zipper just a little bit. You don't want to make it as flush as your sides, okay? Just because when you turn it, you're going to push those out just a little bit. Gives it really an attractive end corner to your zipper, I think, anyway. Okay. You know how I like to make a little tab here at the bottom, just like we did our pocket. I cut it and then we're going to make our little gussets. And I have a little gusset maker. Sheesh, I must be getting tired. Sorry about that. I'm going to move my pockets out of the way. And for this project, I designed it to be only 1.5 inches cut in, so it's going to make a 3-inch gusset at the bottom. Okay, so here's my 1.5 inch, and basically this is my little template that you lay the bottom part of your. See, basically what I did is I cut out 1.5 inches of this little square cardboard that I had, so that you can lay the straight piece on your seam, not on the edge, but on your seam, and when you lay it on this side of your seam, you have a 1.5 inch square that you can mark and cut away. I hope that made sense. Otherwise, you would have to use your mat and measure 1.5 inches in and 1.5 inches in, okay? So whatever size you cut out, so if you cut out 1 inch, you're going to have a 2-inch gusset, and that is the depth of your bag, okay? This is in all of my videos. I use my little template, okay, and I mark 1.5 inches. This just makes it so nice. Remember, I save these to sew on when I'm saving thread. They're so perfect for that. I'm going to have to clip these little guys out of my way. Okay, and I save all of my little corners. Okay, so I'm only going to do one of these on camera, and then the other 3 I'm going to do off camera. So what you're going to do now is you're going to open these up. Okay, see, they were a little square like that, but now you're going to reach in and you're going to open it up. Push them together, seam to seam. They need to match. They need to match perfectly. You're going to put a pin in here about 1/2 inch up, because you're going to sew about 1/4 inch in, and you don't want your pin in the way. So I'm going to take it over to my sewing machine. I don't know if you can see this. So what I'm going to tell you is you're going to sew 1/4 inch across here. Okay. So I sewed up my gussets, and now it's time to reach in the bottom, and hopefully you left your zipper open. And I'm going to grab a corner, and very carefully, because I don't want to rip my lining, I'm going to pull this through. This is such a darling little bag. And you can make it any size you want. Just remember your dimensions need to be balanced. Okay, and what I mean by that is if you decide you wanted to make this 10 inches deep, or, any dimension you want, just make sure that it's a little bit taller than it is wide, if that makes any sense at all. Show my gussets. There we go. Push it in. We're not going to sew up the bottom until we're really happy with how all this came out, in case you need to go in and fix something. Push my zipper up. Push my zipper up. It's very different. I usually have tabs on everything I do, so it's very... Okay, so what I'm doing is I'm just going in this corner and just kind of pushing it out a little bit. Okay. And oh my gosh, that just came out so darling. Didn't that come out really cute? Okay, so you know what? All we need to do is make our little handle and we're done. And sew up the inside. But everything is just so cute. You've got your nice little pocket on the inside. And your phone fits in the main body of it. It actually even fits in the pocket. And it still closes, so it's plenty of room. So, okay, so we're going to start on the handle, and then we're going to be done. Okay, so all we have left to do is to make our strap, and mine is joined. We talked about that a little bit earlier. So what I need to do now is I'm going to take it over to my ironing board, and I'm going to cut my interfacing. So let's see, so this is 2 1/4 inches. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut my interfacing to be about 2 inches total. I don't need it to go from end to end, but I need it to cover the whole entire thing, laying where I joined, laying it over where I joined it, so that'll lay nice and flat. And then on each end of my strap, I'm going to fold it over about 1/2 inch here, and 1/2 inch on this side, and press it. Then I'm going to take the whole entire thing and fold it exactly in half, and then it'll make a crease right there. So then I'm going to fold this part to meet the crease, but not butt up to it, but close to it. I'm going to do the same thing with this side. And when that's done, I'm going to fold the two together. And you can see that's going to make a really nice trim strap for my bag to go through my little 1/2 inch D-rings here, okay? And when I'm done with that, I'm going to show you how I sew it on. So I'll meet you back here in a minute. Okay, so I did zoom in so that you can see me attach the strap to the little D-rings. And I wanted you to see this because today what I want to do is I want to zigzag it on. It's been something that I've been doing lately, and it's just been, a really good result. So I'm feeding it through, and of course turning it over. And I am going to do a little zigzag going back and forth, back and forth. It just makes it really sturdy, and it really gives it a nice design. I don't know with the black you're going to be able to see it, but I thought I would just show it to you anyway. My stitches are pretty close together, close to a satin stitch, if you will. And I'm going to go over it about 2 or 3 times is all. Okay, and I always stop in the middle. It's just kind of my little thing that I like to do. Cut off my strings. And I hope you can see this. It really doesn't even look like a zigzag on the black. It's just really sturdy and really, really strong, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and do the other side. I'm going to go ahead and sew up the inside of my bag. I need to change my thread to do that, and I'll meet you back here. Okay, so our straps came out just absolutely perfect. And what I want to do is pull out the lining. And we're going to go ahead and tuck them in. You can either sew this by hand or you can do it by machine. For time's sake, I'm going to go ahead and do it by machine. I prefer by hand. I just think it looks really nice. And if somebody should ever have to go into the bag and, you know, maybe fix something, it's a little bit easier if it was by hand, especially a little whip stitch. They could just take it apart. But this is a very well-built bag. I think you'll see that as you're at this point. Okay, so I'm just going to pin this in a couple places, and I'm going to sew it along here, tuck the lining back in, and we are done with our bag. And there you have it. Cutest little cell phone bag ever, with your pocket inside, your 2 little outside zip pockets that are just great for keys, credit cards, money, you know, whatever you want it to be. And there you go. Hey, I hope you enjoyed this project, and I always enjoy our time together, so make it a great day. Bye-bye.